Hey there guys, so our new anime begins with a girl. She was been chased by soldiers, but they pulled back because the girl had just entered the demon lord's area. But then they saw another girl and ran towards them, and taking that chance, Charlotte ran deeper into the forest but fell down from the height and lost consciousness. Then the demon lord Alan learns about the wanted woman in the newspaper, but then while roaming around a bit he saw Charlotte. He knew right away that Charlotte was being pursued by someone. So Alan tries to ask them, but looking at their symbols, he knew they were all royal soldiers. Those soldiers told Alan to give them Charlotte peacefully because she's a criminal. But Alan refused because he chose to believe in Charlotte rather than them. Then after beating them up, he reveals his face, and the soldiers recognized he's the demon lord. So Alan cast a spell on them that erased their memories of the recent events, and goes back peacefully. After a while, Alan had a hard time believing that Charlotte was a criminal that the entire Neris kingdom was looking for, and then Charlotte woke up and Alan gave him something to drink. She tells Alan that she got lost in the forest, but Alan reads out the paper about Charlotte's wanted news. As she's the fiancée of the Neris kingdom's prince, Charlotte got scared. But Alan tells her that he believes she hasn't committed any crime because he can see the truth in her eyes. It made her cry because Alan was the first to believe in her. So she tells Alan that she was from the noble family, but she was a mistress's child, but even so she became Prince Cecil's fiancée. But then he accused her in front of the entire court of the crime she had never committed. Alan knew right away she was framed, so Alan asked if she could do house chores. So Charlotte tells Alan that she won't mind doing chores, so Alan decides to take her in as a live-in maid, but Charlotte tries to tell Alan that he would get into trouble helping her out. So Alan thinks about it and tells her that he was once betrayed by a party he joined for adventure, and Charlotte was so innocent that she believed him right away. Looking at her, Alan didn't want to let her go, but Charlotte still didn't want to cause any trouble and decided to leave, so as a last resort Alan puts in a death curse on himself. And he started to pretend that his conditions is getting serious, and just like that Charlotte lost in that round and accepted to live with him. Then Alan clears out all the junk from his home, and since their work was done he tells Charlotte to do whatever she wants. Then Alan started to do his work as a teacher to check all the test papers in his library, and after a while, when he finished his work, he noticed Charlotte was such a chump that she began to count the grains on the floor. This was a serious issue, so Alan asked her if she had any hobbies, which she didn't have any. Because she had to work in her house like a maid, so she lived a pretty tough life. So Alan wanted to make her a little naughty. And the first step would be to eat everything to their heart's content. Alan brought all of this because he knew from her words how her family treated her. But Charlotte was still refusing to eat the cake because she felt it would make her more in debt to Alan, so to make her eat that, Alan threatened he will reapply the death curse on himself. So once again Charlotte couldn't go up against him. Then, right after taking a bite, she burst into tears because she had never eaten anything like this before. After a day, Alan awoke in his office room while making a list to make Charlotte a bad girl, but right outside he saw Charlotte was cleaning the house, so Alan told her to take it easy. But Charlotte tells him that she's used to this routine. She was from a duke's family, the highest rank in the nobility, yet they forced her to do work like this. She was treated as a servant and was always left alone, and thinking about them, Alan was becoming irritated, but he saw no resentment in Charlotte's eyes for her family or fiancé. But then, a visitor arrived, and Alan runs out to answer the call, but sadly Charlotte was always in the yard and met the visitor. So Alan quickly covers for Charlotte and told Miacha that Charlotte is his new maid, and Miacha was a delivery girl of a courier service company, but even she knew about Charlotte. But she tells them to relax because she doesn't care who Alan hires as his maid. It made them feel secured, but Miacha tells them that Neris kingdom is not in their service area. And if it was, then things might go south. Alan always uses Miacha's company to deliver potions that he makes, so Miacha tells him to move to a town that would benefit him more for his business. But Alan has a problem being around people, so Miacha understands that because Alan's face is quite scary that people started to call him a demon lord. But aside from that, he asked Miacha to deliver him a full catalog on the daily necessity, so she hands out a full catalog on the necessity and gives it to Charlotte to let her choose whatever she wants. And if she doesn't want to buy anything, Alan promised to buy everything in the book, so Charlotte put in her order, and after a while Miacha returned to deliver the good. But Alan had also secretly ordered something for Charlotte, and it was a boxing bag. so that she could relive some stress by punching out the bag while thinking about her family and fiancé. But Charlotte was still pure and thought that Prince might have some reason to betray her, and even now she thinks her family was kind enough to let her live with them at their house. She's just too pure, because she never learned to express her feelings, and Alan knows that, so Alan tells Charlotte to punch him instead, and obviously Charlotte refused. So Alan used magic to manipulate her hand. He did this to make her believe that he will never leave her side no matter what, and this made her angry this time. She began to express her feelings. And Alan was successful on his job. Charlotte understood Alan was trying to look after her, but she told him not to pull stunts like this again. Alan agreed to her request right away. And the air between them began to get relaxed once more. However, someone was keeping an eye on them away from them. So, who's the new girl that's been keeping an eye on them? Find out in the next video, but in the meantime, subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon to get the latest updates, and take care.